Hello, loves. Hello, hello. Hills here from the Blue Flame. How are we doing? This energy. All right. So, welcome to the Reclamation Portal, which is what I have dubbed this wormhole of eclipse season and the Sun-Neptune exact conjunction, which will be on the 17th of March, which is tomorrow at the time of this recording, all the way through the equinox on the 19th or 20th, depending on where you are, of March, bringing us into Aries season, into the Libra Full Moon Eclipse, which will be on the 25th of March for pretty much all of us, all the way through the rebirthing portal that is the currently called Easter holiday, then into the Aries solar eclipse, which is one of the most powerful eclipses of the entire year. It is the most powerful eclipse of the entire year, honestly, and one of the most powerful energetic platforms for our entire year, carrying us through to April 20th, 420, for those of you who know, where Uranus and Jupiter will meet in exact conjunction in Taurus. Now, that is a lot of activity over the course of a month. We are not going to dive into all of it in today's video. I'm actually going to try and keep this one a bit short and focus primarily on the equinox energies and starting to dip our toes into that first Libra full moon eclipse. And I'm going to share some fun stuff with us. Let's start on the equinox itself. Well, actually, hang on. Let's start with tomorrow, March 17th. This day is called St. Patrick's Day and is celebrated. It's an honoration of St. Patrick in the Catholic Church. And what it actually represents is a celebration that the Catholic Church has driven all the pagans out of Ireland. So when you're putting your green on and saying Erin go bra, this is also an aspect of what this celebration is. Of course, it has morphed now into a claiming of Irish heritage, and celebrating it in that way is beautiful. But there is something that is feeling really funny and beautiful to me about this particular St. Patrick's Day. We have the exact Sun-Neptune conjunction in Pisces. So this is a time when our outward expression of self is more in connection with our spiritual nature, our Neptunian spiritual higher heart nature. When we are able to move through the veils, connect with the dream time on a more let me feel in a more heart-flowing way. One of the big energies that I have been feeling for this entire portal, this reclamation portal as I've dubbed it, is that we are coming into a place where we're removing the dam that has formed between our mental and emotional bodies so that we can start to move with our emotions and our thoughts in a more clean way, so that we don't separate what we're feeling from what we're thinking, so that we can start to understand, this is what shadow work really is, so that we can start to understand the way that we're creating our world through unconscious feelings. And this is bringing me into a really loud energy over the course of this entire wormhole. And that is a dwarf planet called Ixion. Over the last week, I have worked with everyone in the in the members portal that I work with one-on-one. I've worked with other people who I work with one-on-one who aren't part of the members portal. And for everyone that I worked with, I was asked to look at where Ixion falls in their chart. Now, Ixion has a 251-year orbit. So this is a generational planet and then some, or planetoid, if you will. To give some perspective on this, on how Ixion moves, anyone born from June of 1965 all the way through September of 1995 has Ixion in Scorpio. So the entirety of what we call Generation X and the entirety of what we call the millennials are Ixion in Scorpio. Let that sink in for a little bit, because there was an imaginary boundary, an imaginary line drawn between Gen X and millennials. And I remember in the early 2000s in particular, there being a lot of like vitriol passed back and forth between these two generations. And yet we have so much in common, right? We have so much in common. And this feels like part of the reclamation that I'm talking about. It's coming back into seeing the similarities between us, as opposed to giving into the forces that seek to divide us. Now, Ixion has a pretty intense story, and most astrologers tend to focus in on the being given a second chance and throwing it away, themes of betrayal, and that where Ixion is found in your chart is strongly related to this. As I have been really working with this energy over the course of this last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, like really deep dived into Ixion. Not the myth of Ixion so much as the energy that Ixion represents. What I have come to contact with is that this is those places where we have believed the lie that our sins were irredeemable, where we have come into contact with a force, a God, a belief system, a parent, a societal structure that said the way that you are in the world is not proper, it is irredeemable, and you will be punished for eternity if you continue to go this path. Now let's come on back. Let's reel this on back with that template in line for us to the energies of St. Patrick's Day, to the energies of the Sun conjunct Neptune on St. Patrick's Day, and to what it means to drive the snakes out of Ireland, right? What it means to cast out from their home those that you have deemed irredeemable. And now feel into those aspects of yourself that you have cast out, that you have demonized, that you have othered to such an extent that you have said that that part of yourself is irredeemable. This is the energy that we're playing with in a profound way, especially during the first half of this eclipse season. As we come through Easter, which falls right in between the Libra Full Moon Eclipse and the Aries New Moon Solar Eclipse, we kind of come through a rebirthing and start to move in a different way. We're being invited to move through this in a different way. So during the full moon eclipse in Libra, Ixion, which is currently traveling around 5 to 6 degrees of Capricorn. And like I said, this is a really slow moving planet. So it's going to be there for a minute, is actually making a really powerful T-square with the sun and moon. The sun over in Aries at 5 degrees and the moon over in Libra at 5 degrees. So we are being bridged in a powerful way. We are being given access to those places. And eclipses and full moons, they shine bright lights and then help us clear it out and then shine the bright light again, so that we can see if there's anything that we missed the first time around. As we are leading up to this eclipse on the equinox, we have, through this entire portal, and it's powerful, we have that Chiron North Node conjunction in Aries, right? During the equinox, Mercury is right in between Chiron and the North Node. The North Node is now traveling towards the beginning of Aries, and the Chiron they switched places from where they were in February. And Chiron is going into the deeper dimensions of Aries. So we have Mercury, the messenger of the gods, coming in to help translate any of the messages that have come through as they passed one another. Now, when we come into this Libra full moon, we will find ourselves connected to that energy of the North Node Mercury Chiron conjunction, and being gifted an ability to access those places. You see, when we get to the Aries solar eclipse, the sun and moon, the North Node and Chiron, are all going to be conjunct together. So we're going to have a lot of energy for mining the gold from this journey. During the equinox and this Libra eclipse, we actually also have Saturn and Venus conjunct in Pisces. Finding new foundations for love, coming into a greater relationship with the foundational structures, with time and with our karma, with our karmic mission, and into a better relationship with Saturn. The other day I was watching a Pam Gregory video, and I love Pam Gregory so much. She's great. But she was talking about Saturn, and I could feel myself being like, you gotta let Saturn evolve, man. Like, Saturn is not just restriction. Saturn is also all of those places where you see restriction and you move through it. It's not, this is where I'm restricted. It's, and then you stop. It's, this is where I have been restricting myself. Now I can see it. Now I can find a new way. And this is why Saturn is both the Lord of time and of karma. Because with an ability to see something, to connect to something, we have an ability to make changes. When you know more, you can do more. You can do things differently. When you can see from a higher perspective, you're able to see that which you thought was bad might have actually been a blessing in disguise, right? So I feel like the way that this transmission has come through, I'm just being asked to bring so much in for us in a really short time. I want to feel there is another energy that's traveling with Ixion, and that's the asteroid Isis. Isis is rebirthing energy. Isis is deeply connected to remembering those parts of ourselves that we have othered and bringing them back together and coming into a greater state of unification of self. On the equinox, as the sun hits the 0 point of Aries, Isis's asteroid hits the 0 point of Capricorn, putting them in a beautiful square, a really powerful square of the sun starting the astrological new year, the Persian New Year, the first day of equalization, as it were. That day of harmony that the equinox represents. And we feel this sun, this outward expression of ourselves, this soul light, coming into the sign of empowerment, of the I am presence. In a square, being able to see our bits and pieces that we forgot through Isis, through the Divine Mother, through the foundational energy of the 0 point of Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn, right? And this is laying the foundations for the powerful Ixion energies that are running for that Libra full moon eclipse. Interestingly, on the day of the Aries solar eclipse, Isis and Ixion will be exactly conjunct at 6 degrees of Capricorn. So are you starting to be able to feel maybe a little bit more now why I'm calling this a reclamation portal? To bring this in a little bit more. Aries North Node, sense of self, coming into a greater sense of self. Libra South Node, our relationships, what we value, collecting the true aspects of how we have related in the world, our sense of balance, our sense of justice, our values. Coming into greater relationship with ourself so that we can be in relationship with the world from a state of I am and so are you. I am that you am. I am that you are. You are that I am. And we start to feel that energy of I am not but a drop in the ocean, but the ocean in a drop. I saw that the other day. My aunt posted it, and I was like, yes, beautiful. That really beautifully describes this energy. We are moving through this entire year, Aries North Node, asking us to reclaim our sense of self. And with Chiron and Aries, it is coming into an empowered sense of self that is strong enough to not lose self in relationship with others. And that's part of what this entire embodied soul light journey is about, is we have been unified in light as souls. We've had that experience. We come here to experience individualization, to create in a different way, to manifest physically, to experience a heart chakra, to allow it to break and expand and do things that without a physical heart are not possible. We go through this sense of separation from the divine, damning of our mental and emotional bodies to experience our individual nature. Part of the evolutionary, the elevationary, the embodied light journey is to call those parts of self back into self, to find the whole, empowered, courageously seated in our power, Sekhmet sort of energy, and bring that beautiful, beautiful part, that beautiful, clear, purified part of the id back into union with the divine. So that when we hear these words, we are the universe expressing itself. We can truly feel, think, experience. We can truly experience what that means. And when you hear other energy workers and other channels, people who work with beings, galactic, angelic, ascended masters, when you hear from so many different places that the universes are filled with energy, watching us on the planet right now, cheering us on, because we are about to go through something that has never been done before. We've come close, but we haven't actually gotten to this point yet. This is new territory. We're adventurers. And everyone is watching, because every time, even though sometimes it might not look like it, every time we have come up to a point where it felt make or break, we have gotten to that place in the solstice in 2020, in December. Everything in the world felt really intense. We were deep in COVID. And in Uluru, in Australia, the Aborigines knew that there was a massive portal opening up, and they facilitated a meditation that spanned the entire world and pinged the song lines, the ley lines of the entire world. And there was some trepidation. Is this going to work? Are we in a place as humanity, as beings of embodied light, to come into this next stage of our evolutionary journey? And the answer was yes. And the answer keeps being yes. We keep doing it, even as the density gets louder as it's crashing. We are still doing it. More and 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 more people are waking up. They're starting to see the curtains, the veils that were before their eyes, and open them wider. One of the things that really made me laugh, and this is where we're going to end, is that for this portal, for this reclamation portal, I have been guided to go on a sacred site journey. And I'm going to sacred sites, S-I-T-E, but I've been calling, the way that this has been feeling is sacred site, S-I-G-H-T, site journey. And it is taking me, I'm actually leaving tomorrow during that Sun-Neptune conjunction. I'll be in Sedona for the equinox. Then I'll be heading to Portugal to go to Tomar and Evora Standing Stones and Silves on the Algarve coast in Portugal for the Libra eclipse cycle. I'll still be in Portugal through the rebirthing portal of Easter. And then on the 3rd, I head back to the US, and I'll be going to Pilot Mountain in North Carolina, and then making my way to Arkansas, and I'll be spending the solar eclipse 5 minutes away from a diamond mine in Arkansas. And I had this beautiful laugh come through yesterday as I remembered that this is St. Patrick's Day when I begin this journey. And we, as the members portal, because I'm not doing this alone, this is an energetic journey for the entire Blue Flame community and members portal. And we are literally going to numerous sites that had deep and profound significance to the world that is elemental, to the fairies and to the vortices, the energetic electromagnetic lines that run through Earth to the heart of the Earth herself. And reclaiming our permission to be there, our permission to be connected to the Earth in that way again. So the thing that made me laugh is, yes, I begin this journey on St. Patrick's Day. One of the first places that I go is a place called Cathedral Hill, or Cathedral Rock in Sedona. And from there, continue to go to places reclaiming our sacred sites. Reclaiming our sacred sites. And I laughed and I was like, yes, I'm not the only one doing this. There are going to be people all over this planet reclaiming our sight, our feeling, our sense of self, and our I am allowed to be here. I am allowed to practice, to connect with the earth. I am allowed to remember that I am part of all of it, and all of it is part of me. And these days of the equinox and Easter, these days of eclipses are sacred, and we can honor them. We can remember the beauty and mysticism and magic. And I have someone coming in my door, so that is where we close. As always, in always, so much and many loves to you from, through, and beyond the all dimensions.